Hi everybody, I'm Mary Kate Schmidt and I am the creator of the FTF workout programs and Froyo to Fitness Instagram. So as many of you know, my approach to fitness and wellness is living a healthy, realistic lifestyle. But I do want to share with you how I transform my body and how I saw the biggest results. So a lot of you ask about my eating, and there's no secrets there. I'm very open about how I eat, and I want everybody to know that food, it's difficult. We all struggle with it, but it's not a one size fits all. There's not one perfect approach to it. But today I want to share with you how Myfitnesspal was a really big tool that I used to get where I am today. So I want to start out by letting you guys know the app is free. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to pay for the premium version. I've honestly been using this app for so long, and it's insane how much you can do with it. I'm literally obsessed. So I'm excited to dive into it with you guys today because I know a lot of you probably get overwhelmed with it, but I promise it's super user-friendly and it's really so. On this first page, you'll see you get access to their blog, which is amazing. If you just click here, it will lead you right to the blog, which this one's on chickpeas. So it'll give you different recipes and different ways to make chickpeas. It's super fun and you can send it to your friends. And when you first get the account, you'll have to set up your goals. So what you'll do here is you'll go over to more and you'll go to goals. And you'll put in your starting weight, your current weight, your goal weight, and then your weekly goal and activity level. I always tell people weekly goals should about be 1 pound per week. You don't want to get too aggressive here because obviously you don't want to be discouraged, and 1 pound is a perfect amount per week. Activity level, I always put active because I work out a lot. And from there, we can get into how you set your macros. So once you put in all your information, it's going to automatically populate calories for you. But I find Myfitnesspal tends to put in a lot more or a lot less calories than we really need, which most times many women are under eating. So that's really important to note to make sure that you are eating enough to fuel and nourish your body. So here right now I'm doing a cut. So my calories are 1,600, which seems low, but my usual amount is around 2,200 to like bulk and 2,000 to maintain. So, summer's right around the corner, so I will be eating a little bit less than normal. But let's say that I was doing my maintenance, I would just fill in 2,000 calories. And you have to override the system a few times, so you might have to enter it in once or twice just to get the numbers accurate. So when it comes to macronutrients, if you read my previous blog, I've told you guys that it's protein, carbs, and fats. So you want to eat about 1 gram per pound that you weigh in protein, so we'll start there. So I weigh 145 pounds, so I want this number to equate to 145. So I will lower that to about 30%, which puts me at 150, which granted, it's not dead on, but it's close enough. And then for carbs, I like to follow the same rule, about 1 to 2 grams though per pound that I weigh. So we'll drop that down to about, I want to go a little bit higher carb. So I'll probably put in 35%. And then with fat, you want to do about 0.3 to 0.5 of what you weigh. So I want to do lower fat. So I'll probably get that probably lower that down to around 44. And then I'll give myself more carbs. So what I'm doing here is I'm obviously making the numbers equal 100, but I have specific goals and I do better off higher carb. So I'm going to put my carbs higher and I'm going to set my fat a little bit lower, and protein will always stay the same around what I weigh. So once we're happy with that, the numbers will switch over and then we can go into how you input your food on a daily basis. So you always press this plus sign, you'll go to food, and keep in mind, I do not track my exercise. So even if I eat 2,000 calories and I burned 700 calories, I won't input that exercise because I will not eat those calories that I burned. So that doesn't mean that if you go and you do a killer workout and you burn 700 calories that you can go get a cheeseburger. I mean, if you want, more power to you. You do whatever you want, but you don't want to eat those calories that you burned. So getting back to how you input the food, you'll press the food and you'll go one by one. So obviously, let's start with breakfast. I'll just put in what I had this morning, which it's so nice because it saves all the meals that you have regularly. So it makes it super easy again once you get the hang of it. So today I had egg whites, which it memorizes because I have them often. And I did have 4, but if you had 5 or 3 or however many, you can adjust that here and it will populate automatically for you. So let's just say that I had 5 and it remembers that I usually have chicken sausage with it and a grapefruit. So we'll just click that and we would add that. So that shows me that my breakfast was 287 calories. And if we want to know more, then we'll go to the nutrition button and we'll understand how many carbs, protein, and fat were in that breakfast. So breakfast alone, so far, I've had 14 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fat, and 33 grams of protein, which is really key because I try to aim to have 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. Okay? So you really want to fuel and, again, nourish your body. Make sure you're eating every 2 to 3 hours and really focus on well-balanced meals with a protein, carb, and a fat. So if we want to go back, we can add in our lunch. And the best thing about this too is there has a scanner application. So if you needed to, you could easily take something out of the fridge and you could scan it. So let's say I'm going to have lunch with chicken and vegan pesto. I would take the pesto and I would scan it just like that, and it automatically populates per serving size. So I say had 60 grams, I would just say, okay, great, here we go. And then I would continue to track my lunch, which I had chicken. So it will remember that I usually have Trader Joe's chicken. That's pretty standard because I shop there. And then I always have a carb with it. So I also had a sweet potato. So we'll add that there. Again, mine memorizes a lot because I use it a lot, but we can go through and track something that I don't have very often. So let's make something up. We'll do dinner. Let's say I had pizza. So we would put in pizza. Granted, it's going to be generic because we didn't go to Pizza Hut. We went and ordered it from our favorite family place. So I would just put in generic and I would try to get as close to as what I thought the macros were. And I know that's not 100% accurate, but again, we want to live a healthy, realistic life. So sometimes we might be a little bit off. So I think a good guesstimate for a slice of pizza is about 285, with obviously it's going to have a lot of carbs because of the bread and crust. And there's probably a lot of fat in there, and then a little protein because of the cheese. So then we'll press enter. So then again, anytime we want to see where we're at for the day, we go here and we can see our carbs, fat, and proteins. Now, something to note too is you don't want to look at the percentages. You want to look at the grams. So here it says 96 grams, 36 grams, if we go back, and 77 grams. So that means we are getting closer to our goals. And then you can click in individually and see where all your carbs came from that day, where your proteins came from, and where your fats came from. You also can look at it from a nutrient-based graph, and that'll show you what you have left for the day. So obviously, this wasn't a real day for me, but I would try to get closer to 150, 250, and 44 for my protein, carbs, and fats. Another favorite tool of Myfitnesspal is the ability to take progress pictures and enter my weight next to the progress pictures. I definitely take a screw the scale approach, and I try not to pay attention to the scale. So even though I do weigh myself, It's more so I can understand that when the scale doesn't move, that my body is still changing regardless of what it says. Because if you look through my pictures, there's sometimes where I'm like a very, very low weight. For instance, at this point, I was 138 pounds. I look really, really small. I don't like how skinny I got. So over the years, you can see, even though I went up a couple pounds, I still look great. So it's really, for me, a way to tell that even though the scale might look higher, I'm still seeing significant changes in my body. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. There's a lot of different things you can do in here. You can even follow your friends by adding them here. And it's really just a good tool to, again, food awareness, provide you with data around what you're eating and the nutrients that you're absorbing. So that means we are getting closer to our goals. And then you can click in individually and see where all your carbs came from that day, where your proteins came from, and where your fats came from. You also can look at it from a nutrient base graph, and that'll show you what you have left for the day. So obviously, this wasn't a real day for me, but I would try to get closer to 150, 250, and 44 for my protein, carbs, and fats. Another favorite tool of Myfitnesspal is the ability to take progress pictures and enter my weight next to the progress pictures. I definitely take a screw the scale approach, and I try not to pay attention to the scale. So even though I do weigh myself, it's more so I can understand that when the scale doesn't move, that my body is still changing regardless of what it says. Because if you look through my pictures, there's sometimes where I'm like a very, very low weight. For instance, at this point, I was 138 pounds. I look really, really small. I don't like how skinny I got. So over the years, you can see, even though I went up a couple pounds, I still look great. So it's really, for me, a way to tell that even though the scale might look higher, I'm still seeing significant changes in my body. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. There's a lot of different things you can do in here. You can even follow your friends by adding them here. And it's really just a good tool to, again, food awareness, provide you with data around what you're eating and the nutrients that you're absorbing.